All right, friends, Marvin Music here with MedicareSchool.com, and we are glad that you've joined with us on our event tonight that is going to be a little bit of instruction and then a lot of time answering your questions. We're thrilled that you have made this a part of your late afternoon or early evening, and I hope that'll be very productive for you. My son and I, Josh, started this company 15 years ago, and our whole goal was to really be different. We saw one of the things lacking in the Medicare business was a real emphasis on education prior to making decisions. And we've built our business on that and are grateful to have the opportunity to make sure people have a good understanding, a good foundation before they start making any decisions, because once you made a decision, sometimes you can't reverse that. You got to live with the consequence of that decision. And so we are very committed to education. We're Medicare brokers, so we certainly write all kinds of plans, but education is important to us because we know that if we can establish a good knowledge of Medicare, you can make good choices and have confidence that you've done the best thing for your particular situation. So everything we do through our YouTube channel, Facebook group is all about making sure that you understand Medicare well. And so hopefully tonight we'll just add to that wealth of knowledge. If you're new to us, we'd love to have you become either a follower in our Facebook group. That'd be awesome. I think we have 50,000 people that share information all the time about Medicare. And then if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, there's no cost to that, of course, but the benefit is every time we do a new video, which I shot one today, we try to do one or two new ones every week. You'll be notified of that. And then, so we'd love to have you be a part of that as well. So tonight, I am going to cover a topic. A couple things I'd ask of you. As I go through this topic, you can start asking your questions now. Daniel's our producer. He's with me in the studio tonight, so he'll be feeding me those questions. And so you can start putting those in the chat right now. And I'll get to as many as I can. I'm always good for about an hour and a half or so, and we don't have to go that long, but if we have that many questions, we'll do our best to answer as many of those as we can. Also, I want to mention this. If you have an immediate need, you can ask the question, but you can also call us. Our company is based in Overland Park, Kansas. Now, we're a nationwide broker. We write in all 50 states and in D.C., but our home office is in Overland Park, Kansas, which is a suburb of Kansas City. And so we have people right now that could take your live calls. We actually have 16 receptionists. And so as you call in, we triage the call to figure out what best department you can go to, and we'll send you to that department. And so if you have anything really specific or you're needing to make an urgent decision or really get a question answered, then feel free to call, please. And that 800 number, I guess, Daniel's on the screen. Okay, you see that. So call that number, and we are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Thursday, and then 7 to 6 on Friday. So the switchboards are open, and we'd be delighted to help you in any way we can. And as with all brokers, there's no cost for our services. We are always paid by the insurance companies, not by you. So that's a great benefit for all that we can do for you. We'd be thrilled to be able to assist you. All right, and so we'd love to know where you're from. If you put in the chat what part of the country you're joining us from, we'd love to know that. If you're a client now, anything that you want to share with us, we'd be delighted to and know that you're a part of this evening. So I'm going to get into the topic, and again, put those questions in there, and we'll get to those here in just a couple minutes. Tonight, we're going to talk about the 5 huge mistakes that Medicare self-enrollees make when they pick a plan alone, meaning they just kind of do-it-yourselfer. And just so you know, when you do-it-yourselfer, you haven't saved any money, because when you use the services of an agent, there's no cost to you. Insurance companies pay us, as I said, and so do-it-yourselfer. I'm kind of that person with a lot of things around my home, but when it comes to this, you don't have to do it alone, but some people do. And sometimes they make some pretty serious mistakes. And so I'm going to mention 5 of those that I think you need to be aware of in case you're trying to do this on your own. The first one would be this. Someone that is taking Social Security, meaning they took their Social Security before they hit their full retirement age. They took early. And anyone who's taking Social Security is going to be automatically enrolled into Medicare at 65. The Medicare card is actually mailed to you about 100 days prior to your birth month. So again, you're on Social Security, you took it early. It could have been retirement benefit, it could have been spousal benefit or widow benefit, survivor benefit, but you took it early, therefore you're automatically enrolled into Medicare. Nothing you have to do. Medicare A and B card shows up. And so the mistake is if you or your spouse are still working and you're covered by a good group employer provided plan, meaning the premium is very reasonable, the coverage is great, you're happy with the network, meaning you have a very good group plan, and that's available again through your employer or your spouse's employer, and you're enrolled in A and B. If there's 20 employees on that payroll or more, what happens is your Medicare A and B goes to the second payer position. Because it's a large group, 20 or more, Medicare says that company plan that you're on is going to be the first payer and Medicare is going to be the second payer. And so if you're enrolled in A and B, what does that mean? Well, it means you're paying a premium for your Medicare Part B, and they're in the second payer position. This year, the Part B premium for the majority of people is $174.70 a month. And if you're single and your income's below $103,000, married and your income's below $206,000, that's what you're paying for Part B, that $174.70. It comes out of your Social Security check. And you're paying for that, and you're paying for it, and you have Medicare in the second payer position. And frankly, to me, that is almost always a waste of money if you have a good group plan. And so the mistake is you stayed in A and B. What I would do if I have a good group plan, again, all the terms of that plan are very attractive, then I would mail my Medicare A and B card back, or you fill out a form called a 1763 and submit that to the local Social Security office, and I would disenroll from Medicare B. Now, because you're on Social Security, you have to stay enrolled in Medicare A. So you'll have A only. So they'll mail you a new card, and you can add B at a later date when you lose the group plan. So that's the mistake, keeping A and B when you shouldn't. Now, again, if you have a lousy group plan or you're no longer working, your spouse is no longer working, I'm not suggesting you mail the card back in. You're going on Medicare. But if we have a good group plan, I would disenroll from B, have A only, and then, again, pick up B at a later date. So that's mistake number one. Let me just kind of pause for a second and just address another topic. And that has to do with having A only. When you're on Social Security, and you're 65, you're going to have to be enrolled in A only. You don't have to take B. I just told you why. But those of you that are not on Social Security, you may decide to take A only, and it is fine to do that at 65, even if you keep working. However, if you have an HSA account that you're contributing to, a health savings account, then I would not enroll into A only, and you won't be penalized. You don't have to enroll in A only, and if you don't enroll into A, then you can continue to contribute to that HSA account. I think it's wise to do so, especially if you're going to work for a while. You just want to make sure that you time it right and you stop those contributions about 6 months prior to enrolling. So if you're going to work to age 70, you can contribute all the way up until about 6 months before you actually apply for Medicare. So that would be an instance when I would not take A only. If you don't have an HSA and you keep working, enroll in A. No problem with that whatsoever. There's no cost. Okay, that's mistake number one. Mistake number two would be this scenario, and I've seen this many, many times in my career. And this is someone that is no longer working, and their spouse is no longer working. They're approaching 65, or maybe they already are or above, and the only insurance they have is COBRA. And normally when people are in that scenario where they're above 65, no longer working, the reason they have the COBRA is because it was part of their severance package from work. The company provided 12 months of COBRA, provided it at no cost. So sometimes people will just keep that only. And the problem with that is if you have COBRA insurance and you're eligible for Medicare, that COBRA insurance company only pays second. And so if you did not enroll into Medicare A and B, you're the first payer. And again, I've seen it time and time again. People take advantage of COBRA, and it's all right to do that. But again, that COBRA is going to be second. And if you have a large claim, I guarantee you're going to find that out. So the point is, this mistake is staying on COBRA only once you're 65 or above. You must enroll in A and B. Now, if you want to keep COBRA, that's fine for a while. I wouldn't keep it a real long time because we wouldn't want you to miss what's called the Medigap OEP. But it's all right to keep it for a while, but it's only going to pay second. Otherwise, if you don't enroll, you're the first payer. Now, let's talk about mistake number three. This mistake is when people learn that Medigap policies, Medicare supplemental plans, are standardized by Medicare, which is a fact. They are standardized. Medicare sets the rules for how the plans are going to pay. I just did a video on the top three plans on Medicare, which are F, G, and N, and we talked about the details of those plans. So when someone buys a Medigap policy, regardless of the letter, let's just use G. That's the most popular one today. That G plan covers everything but the Medicare B deductible. It covers 5 of the 6 gaps. The only gap you're responsible for is the annual B deductible. That's this year $240. So regardless of the carrier that I have, the insurance company I have, my coverage is going to be the same. It's identical. That's what we mean by standardized plans. And so you read about Medicare and you learn, hey, all the plans are the same. And so the rationale for people is, well, if all the coverage is the same, then why don't I just take the lowest cost plan available? And that's a mistake. Now, the lowest cost plan could be the best scenario, but not necessarily. And the reason for that is because all rates are going to go up. So I do care about the initial premium, but what I care more about is the stability of that company. So in other words, I'm concerned about not just year 1, I'm concerned about year 3 and year 5, because all companies are going to go up, but some companies tend to take more drastic price increases and more frequent price increases. So you need to take the time to make sure that you know the stability of the company. And sometimes that information can be hard to get to from a consumer standpoint. But if you do it alone, you're just going to have to guess at that. Now, if you use someone like us or another broker, we take the time to look back at the history of the price increases of the carrier. Now, none of us can predict how stable a company is going to be, but we look at the last 10 years and it's probably going to repeat itself. So we're looking for a carrier, number one, that has good market share. They have a lot of people that are on that group within your geographical area. Why? Because the more people that are in the group, normally that means the more stable the rates, because the risk of health care within that group is spread out to more policyholders. And the result to you is stable rates. So the point is, initial premium is important, but it's not the whole story. Take the time to learn about the stability of the rates. All right, that's mistake number 3. Mistake number 4. And that would be people that are going on Medicare, no group plan available anymore, and they made the decision to go on Medicare, and they're healthy. And they've decided they want a supplemental plan, but they've decided because they're healthy, they're not going to get a drug plan. And a lot of people do this. In fact, I think about 1 out of every 5 people that are eligible for a drug plan are not on a drug plan, about 20% of the market. That's a lot of people, sadly, go without a drug plan. Well, why would they do that? Well, because they look at the plans and sometimes they'll say, well, my medications are cheaper if I just pay cash, or they're cheaper if I get a GoodRx coupon, or if I use Mark Cuban's Cost Plus Drug Company. So why would I pay to have a drug plan when I can get my meds cheaper? Well, I understand if we're just looking at the meds you're taking now. The reason you get a drug plan is because that your health could change in 3 months or 6 months. And if you need a real expensive medication and you don't have a drug plan, I can assure you this. If you had AFib and you needed Eliquis or you needed Xarelto, those are about $600 a month. You look those up on Cuban's group. Number one, he didn't offer them because it's not a generic. Or you look at a GoodRx coupon, you may get it for $20 or $30 off. You're going to pay a tremendous amount of money for those meds. But if you have a drug plan through Medicare, all of them in 2025 have a $2,000 a year cap. And so that means if you had a medication that costs $10,000 a month, doesn't matter, you'll spend $2,000 the whole year. That's why you get a drug plan. So even if you don't take meds or your meds are cheap, doesn't matter, get a drug plan just in case you need something that's expensive. 2 reasons. It's very risky to go without a drug plan. Number 2, the reason is there's penalties that are assessed. So every month that we go without a drug plan, they assess us a 1% penalty. So if you go without for 12 months, that's a 12% penalty. It's basically about $4.20 a month per month added to your drug plan in the future, and you pay that penalty for life. So get a drug plan. And the last thing I failed to mention, that is that if you decide you want a drug plan later, you cannot pick a drug plan up just at random. You can only add a drug plan October 15th through December 7th if you don't take it when you first go on Medicare. So once you retire or you're turning 65, get a drug plan. Otherwise, you're going to have limited times to enroll into a drug plan. All right, so that's reason number 4. And then reason number 5. Now, this one doesn't just have to do with people who self-enroll. Sometimes people do this even when they're getting help, but I think this is real important, and that's this one. Many people today will enroll into an Advantage plan, a Medicare Advantage plan, which are about, 52% of all people on Medicare today have Advantage plans. But many times they'll do this for 2 reasons. They'll do it because of the low premium or no premium, and they'll do it because of some of the perks that are thrown in on the Advantage plan. And so they talk to somebody that really pushes Advantage plans. And remember this, folks, the reason agents push Advantage plans is because it's an easier sale, it's a very quick sale, and it pays the highest commission. Okay, it's not going to give you necessarily the best coverage, but it's definitely going to be in the best interest of the agent to push an Advantage plan. And so they're very appealing. Why? Because they talk about low premium or no premium. 60% of all Advantage plans in 2025 have a zero premium. The other 40%, the average is about $20 a month. So they're very low premiums. Why? Because you pay as you go. So people are drawn in by the low monthly premiums and by some of the perks. Our producer and I, Daniel, and I have called into some of these companies that really push Advantage plans. And the very first thing they're going to ask you before they really even get into your needs and your situation, the first thing they're going to ask, well, don't you want some dental? Don't you want some vision? And they start talking about all these little additional perks that they throw in, and that's their focus, right? Well, what really matters is more than just that. I like the perks, but there's a lot more to a plan than a perk. So don't be drawn in because of low premiums and perks. What you need to find out is how's this insurance going to work? And many agents that push Advantage plans do not talk to you about some of the disadvantage of Advantage plans, and you need to be educated about that. So the mistake is many people are lured into that without realizing that with that Advantage plan also comes networks, and that can be problematic. We're seeing hospital groups totally get out of these Advantage plan networks. They're not going to take them anymore. The payment's too low, the payment's too slow, and they're just done. And it can be difficult sometimes when your provider drops the plan. You have to go out and find a new doctor. And so that's problematic. There's networks with Advantage plans, HMOs and PPOs. HMOs, you got to stay in the network. Can't go out unless it's emergency. That can certainly be a problem for people. PPOs allow you to go out, but it can cost you $10,000 if you go out of the network, if you have some kind of a serious problem. And so you have to deal with this issue of networks. Are you really satisfied with that? Secondly, pre-authorizations. Advantage plans require pre-authorization. 7 out of the 10 services you'll need, insurance company must agree and approve the service that the doctor is recommending before you get that. And many times they will do that. They'll approve it, but sometimes they don't. They delay approval or deny approval. You don't get that healthcare service, or they put that surgery off for 9 months as you go through therapy. And those kind of things happen. Sure, we have perks and we have low premiums, but do you want to live with pre-authorizations? Many people don't like that system if they're told about that. And then lastly, and here's the thing, I'll close and I'll take your questions, and that's this. Do you realize that if you take an Advantage plan and you stay on that Advantage plan for a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and you want to get off, the only way you'll get off of that, return to original Medicare and get one of those supplemental plans, is you're going to have to medically qualify to do that. And sometimes people don't have the health to do that. Their health has changed, or they have certain health conditions that keep them on that Advantage plan for the rest of their life. And so again, self-enrollees oftentimes are not exposed to this because they talk to agents that try to make these Advantage plans appear to be the next best thing since sliced bread. And they're not. They are good for some people and for some situations for sure. We write those plans, but you need to know about both and make that comparison, not just jump on the bandwagon because it looks attractive because of perks and premiums. All right, so those are my 5 mistakes. There's probably more than that, but I think it's time. Let's take your questions tonight, and Daniel will give these to me, and we'll just take as many as we can, and hopefully we can help you. All right, let's get started, Daniel. All right, so Nina says, I heard that Humana, is pulling out of the Advantage plan market. Does that mean their company is in trouble? Do you feel this means they will not be a stable company to get a supplemental plan? Okay, first off, Nina, Humana is not pulling completely out of the Advantage market. They are going to lose about 500,000 beneficiaries this year. And so I would say probably about 10% of their business is being withdrawn from the market. That's it. They're still going to be around. Certainly some areas they pulled out of. Now the reason this is happening, and it's not just Humana, it would be all the other companies as well. These companies are identifying markets where they're simply not making a profit. Hey, these are private health insurance companies. They're in this business to make a profit, and the government allows them to make about a 15% margin. And if they're not making that margin and they're offering those plans, they're pulling those plans that are not profitable. All right, so they're all doing that. So that is not a bad reflection on Humana. What it is these companies are now focused on, hey, if it's not a profitable market, we're going to pull out of that. And that's really one of the negatives about Advantage plans. Advantage plans are written for 1 year at a time. And that company has the right to pull the plan, approve the plan, decrease the plan, do whatever they want to do to the plan. And so to me, that's more of a reflection on the Advantage market. Now, as far as them not being stable, I think they're a stable company. Now, let me share this with you. Humana supplemental plans, we write those, just so you know. We'd be happy to help you with that. But what I would do is I would look at other carriers within your market to be sure they've been stable. In the past, Humana's bread and butter has been Advantage plans. And they've had these supplemental plans kind of on the side as a side market. And what we found with a lot of our clients that would go with Humana supplemental plans, that Humana really honestly pestered them like crazy to try to get them off their sup and go onto an Advantage plan. Now, I don't know if they're still doing that or not, but we've experienced that with them. So again, that's them. But again, I think they're a solid company. I don't think they're bad if you decide to go with them. But do make a comparison, please. Let's keep going. All right. Nanner, it says on the Social Security site that you can sign up for Spousal online. I've looked everywhere on the site and can't find it. Is it really there? Okay, let me explain. It is true, but you have to be eligible for your own Social Security account to be able to do it online. So if you have your own 40 quarters, 10 years worth of taxes paid in the Social Security system, then when you get through the application, it's going to ask about your spouse, and then they'll know that you're interested in spousal benefits. So if you don't have 40 quarters, you cannot do that online. So what you would do then is just call your local Social Security office and set an appointment up. Now remember, to get spousal, there's a couple rules. Number one, you have to prove that you've been married for 1 year or longer, and your spouse today actually has to be taking Social Security before you're going to be eligible to take that. In the old days, it didn't have to be that way. But anyone born after January 1st, 1954, we have new rules now. So they have to be taking, and you have to prove you've been married for a year. All right? So that's the rules on that. Let's keep going. Bonnie, on disability for several years, have just turned 65, been on Advantage plans. Can I now switch to straight Medicare with supplemental plan? Was not eligible. And exactly. Let's talk about Bonnie's situation. Federal guidelines do not require that insurance companies make supplemental plans available for people that come into Medicare on disability. See, after people have been on disability for 2 years, they're automatically enrolled into Medicare, regardless of age. It could be 42, could be 60. And so the majority of states say to supplemental companies, you don't have to offer underage, those below 65, on disability, you don't have to offer them supplemental plans. And most states follow that guideline. There are a few states that don't. They say the insurance companies, you must make these available. You can charge more, but you have to do that. So obviously, Bonnie, you live in a state where supplemental plans were not available. So the answer to your question is yes. You have what we call in our business an IEP2, initial enrollment period 2, your second opportunity. So you can reset the clock, Bonnie. You can get a standard supplemental plan, the G plan, N plan, whatever you're going to want, and there'll be no extra charge for you. So you can start all over. You can also get a drug plan as well, right at your 65th birth month. And we'd love to help you do that. And so give us a call, and we'll walk you through the process to make sure you're on the right plan. All right. Kevin, I may have an HRA through my union, another HRA through my partner's retirement plan. Can I use one to pay for Medicare premiums and the other to pay for my United Supplemental? Okay, now, first off, Kevin, if you're talking about HRA, that's a health reimbursement arrangement. I am not an authority on those, okay? And I'll tell you why. Because every company sets up the health reimbursement arrangement. So those vary company to company. Now, if you're saying to me an HSA, which I know it didn't look like that's what you're doing. So HRAs, they vary company to company. But if you're saying through an HSA, what happens is health savings accounts, you can pay everything related to your Medicare coverage other than Med Sup premiums. And the reason why, it's logical, because HSA money was money set aside to cover medical expenses, not to pay for premiums. And so your drug premium, yes, your out-of-pocket drug costs, your deductible. If you take a G plan, you can pay the deductible out of your HSA. If you had an N plan, you can pay excess charges out of that. So you can pay your co-pays, co-insurance, and all your drug stuff through the HSA, but not the Med Sup premiums, okay? And again, HR, you're going to have to talk to your employer about that. Sorry. All right, what's next, sir? Daniel? Hi, Marvin. So what type of plans do you have or know of for someone who has the VA? I only have a small copay on medications. What plans do you recommend for someone who has the VA? Okay, now, David, for someone who has the VA and likes the VA, because I have people who are VA eligible and they don't like the VA system, but I'm assuming you do, and that's great. And so someone who has VA and likes VA, then what I would recommend is this. I would recommend enrolling in A and B, and again, just a recommendation. I'd take A and B, and then what I would get is what is a plan that's called an MA-only plan, Medicare Advantage only. It does not include prescription drugs because, again, you can get your meds through the VA and it's credible coverage. So when you get a Medicare Advantage only plan, what happens is, number one, almost always there is zero premium, and usually they give you some kind of a give back towards your Social Security. I've seen some as much as $100 a month or $150 a month. So it pulls that Part B premium down for you. And then it gives you a civilian option. So if you have this, now you can go outside the VA when you want to. So use the VA when you want, and then use your Medicare Advantage network whenever you want. And then you also get some of the perks that come along with that. Again, I love supplemental plans, but in your situation, I think it would be just too much insurance. You have VA as an option, just get a zero premium or very low premium with a Part B give back and get your meds to the VA. I think that's the best way that's what I advise. Okay, you can look at that as an option. All right, Daniel. I am 64. When do I need to sign up for Medicare? People are telling me to sign up now before my birthday this July. Kathy, you can't. So let's see. If your birthday's in July, I'm assuming it's not going to be the July 1st. So let's go back and let me tell you exactly what to do. Okay, so we got 7, 6, 5, 4. Okay, if you're on Social Security, your Medicare card is going to show up middle of March, and you can begin to enroll after April 1. It's 90 days prior to your birth month. So after 4/1 of 2025, you're going to be able to enroll into Medicare. So you can't do it now. So whoever's telling you that doesn't know what they're talking about. Now, if you decide to do Social Security, you actually could start in March, and then you can make your Medicare decision at that time. That's actually 4 months in advance of your birth month. But if it's Medicare only application, it's 3 months in advance. And just so you know, if you would like us to walk you through that process, we do that for our clients. We enroll people in A and B every day. Whether they're turning 65 or they're 68, we can walk you through that process to make sure it's done properly. Okay, we'd be delighted to help you. All right, next, Daniel. Okay, do the combo plans over the top of Medicare, Medicaid a good value, and do you recommend them? Okay, I think what you're calling a combo plan, that would be what we call a dual SNP. Dual SNP means you're dually eligible for Medicare as well as Medicaid, and so they have a special needs plan. And so the answer to that is I think they're very good plans. And I would recommend them. Now, what you have to be careful of is that sometimes when people are newly eligible for Medicare, that affects their Medicaid eligibility. So I would be sure to talk to your state Medicaid office to ask them if you have to requalify for your Medicaid benefits once you qualify for Medicare. Sometimes it's just an auto rollover. Other times you have to reapply. So be sure to cover your bases. And then once you have that dual eligibility, then I would get what you're calling a combo plan. We call it a dual SNP. We write those all over the country, and we'd be delighted to help you get that plan set up. All right, who's next here? Nana. Okay, in Wisconsin, since we're weird, is there plans that equal the G plan? I've tried to research, and it's complicated as the normal. Number one, Nana, call us, please. And the answer to your question is yes. You actually have G equivalent plans, and there's N equivalent plans as well. So they have a base plan, then we actually can add a rider to that plan to get you to that same coverage as a G or to an N, for sure. And we write for multiple carriers in the state of Wisconsin. All right, JJ, is VA drug plan better than a Medicare drug plan? Well, I think number one, it's considered creditable. And so credible means it has to be as good as or better. And so I like VA. Now, I think one of the issues is that in order to get your meds filled to the VA, you do have to have the scripts from a VA doctor. So if you're seeing any civilian doctor, then I'm not sure how that's going to work for you as far as getting the VA to fill that prescription. So that would be about the only difference. But to answer your question, yes, I think VA, getting your meds to the VA is wonderful. And then I would get, if you're going to go on Advantage and you like the health care in the VA system, then I would just get a Medicare Advantage only and get drugs through the VA. You get a kickback or a give back on your Social Security check, which is nice. All right, William, do some Advantage plans cover foreign emergencies, and what do they cover? And is it only for 60 days and a max of $50,000? Okay, William, there's a couple different things going on here. So number one, Advantage plans, as a general rule, are going to cover a foreign emergency room visit or an urgent care visit at a zero copay. So it's there in the emergency room. So whatever services you get in that emergency room visit. If you get admitted to the hospital, that Advantage plan is not going to cover you, okay? They're not. And so just zero copay in the emergency room and urgent. So what I'd recommend if you do take an Advantage plan is I would buy some travel health insurance, and just in case something were to happen to you where you had to be hospitalized or you had to have emergency air evacuation or something, get a good travel health insurance plan to take care of that. Now, when you talk about this only for 60 days and a max of $50,000, what I think what you're talking about here is the $50,000 is attached to the supplemental plans. There's actually 10 supplemental plans, and 6 of the 10 offer a $50,000 foreign travel emergency benefit. I've never seen that with an Advantage plan ever. If it's new this year, let me know, okay? But I've never seen that. So the $50,000 is a lifetime benefit added to supplemental plans, certainly the F, the G, and the N, and a couple others. And the way it works is if you have a foreign travel claim, your supplemental plan doesn't, Medicare doesn't pay anything, so the supplemental plan will take that claim, and you have a $250 deductible, and then they take the remaining balance, and the insurance company pays 80%, and you pay 20%. But their 80% maxes at $50,000. And that $50,000, once it's gone, they don't replenish that. It's a lifetime benefit attached to the supplemental plan. And the situation about is only for 60 days. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, maybe you're saying if you're out of the country for longer, and so that gets a little bit technical. And so I'm gonna pass on that question for now. Hope that helps. Let's keep going, Daniel. Okay, if I've already signed up for the United ARPA plan, and they sent me a card, can I cancel that before my effective date as long as I paid no premiums? They go through via benefits. So, okay. Well, first off, those people that are going through via benefits, if that's who you had to go through, then more than likely you're getting some type of reduction that is paid by your previous employer. Via benefits normally has arrangements with employer groups that says if you use us, then you can get a reduction in your supplemental plan, or they'll give you maybe a lump sum amount of money. Okay, so it varies. So the answer to your question is yes, you can cancel that policy before it goes into effect. But you want to make sure that you're going to get your stipend from your previous employer. And so many times what they do is they don't make you get the sup. Sometimes they'll let you just get any coverage. So people that want to use our services, what we do is we'll have them get the drug plan or maybe the dental plan through VIA, and then get the other benefits through us so they get to use the services that we provide. Because frankly, I'm not too impressed with VIA, okay? And so yes, you can cancel it before it goes into effect. If you call in, we'll show you how to do that. And then, but just make sure we know the rules of you getting that stipend, because sometimes it's $2,000, $2,500. I want to be sure you get that, but usually just one product. So again, we'll tell you which product to use with them so you can use us on the other side. All right, let's keep going. Okay, I have straight Medicare so that I can go anywhere for care for just 20%. Okay, well, and that's true. But here's the issue. That 20% is not a big deal if you just see a primary care doctor. But that 20% is a huge deal if you have a surgery, because you're going to have to pay 20% to the surgeon. If you have a surgery, there's no doubt an anesthesiologist in the room, and there could be an attending physician, and there's other services going on, and you're responsible completely for the 20%, and there's no limit. And so I would tell you, yeah, you're right, it is just 20%, but if you go to the hospital, you got a deductible to meet, you got extended hospital copays, you go to skilled nursing, you got copays for that. So it's much more than just the 20%. It's very risky. Lastly, and I'm going to kind of prove why I wouldn't do this, because right now there's $220 billion in medical debt in the country, $220 billion, okay? And what they do is they break that $220 billion down by different age groups. And the second largest holder of that debt, and by the way, of that $220 billion, 78% of those people that are part of that $220 billion owe more than $10,000, okay? And the second largest holder of that debt are people that are Medicare eligible, which means what? They have A and B only, as you're suggesting, or they have a Medicare Advantage plan and they could not meet the max out of pocket. Okay, people that have supplemental plans are not part of that debt whatsoever because that supplemental plan is covering those out-of-pocket expenses. So I wouldn't recommend 20%. If you want to do that, hey, it's your budget, it's your life. I'm not saying that it's the craziest decision. I don't think it's the best one, though. All right. All right, I'm in Phoenix, and we'll be applying for Medicare in December. I turn 65 March 25. I'm scared to death. I'm going to make a mistake. Conrad, A couple things. Yeah, I would, number one, go to our YouTube channel, start watching some videos. Learn all you can. And then call us because this is what we do every day. Listen, I have trained every single agent that works for our company. And we have, number one, a passion to help people. But we're going to do what's right. And we're going to explain to you all your options. And we're going to compare plans and prices and do all that legwork for you so that we can give you the right information so you can make the decision. And once you've enrolled with our company, now you're part of our clientele. And you can call our customer service team anytime you want to, and we will help you with problems. So that's what our job is. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to pay us anything. Insurance companies pay us. We're truly totally free to you. And so you don't have to be scared. Start getting educated, go to our YouTube channel, learn, and then call us. And we'll hold your hand and walk you through this whole process, and we're delighted to do it. Help you get in Medicare, get the right plan, whether it's Advantage or SUP, drug plan, everything. We'll take care of that for you. All righty, Kathy from Phoenix. Why is it good to switch carriers every 4 to 6 years on a supplemental plan like G or F to get into a newer group or lower premiums? You're saying, oh, why? Okay, yes. I think it is. Now, Kathy, I would never switch carriers if I can't, make it a positive move, and I can make a move and pay higher premium. But if I can make even a sideways move and save just a little bit, and if you've been on a plan for 4 to 6 years, like you're saying, the reason I think it's good is because then we get to reset the clock. Because think about it, if you went on a MedSup plan 5 years ago, that group could have been large, but people pass away. People change plans, people go on Advantage, so that group begins to shrink. And so over time, it's going to get smaller. And now in the state of Phoenix, in the state of Arizona, in order to get off that plan, you are going to have to medically qualify. So if you can medically qualify now, then I would do that, because maybe in 7 years you can't. So a couple things are happening. We want to save money, and the more the better, of course. Number two, we're resetting the clock. You're going in a new group that's going to have larger, probably healthier people within the group. And so also then if we can qualify now, we don't take the risk of putting that decision off. So we think it's wise to do that. And if you call in, we'll look at the carriers in your area, talk about those premium prices. So when we make that move, there could be multiple benefits to making that move. So I think it's wise. All right, Daniel, next. Don't know, Advantage plans quit, have guaranteed issue, can go to Medigap. That's right. And we'd love to help you, okay? Now, when that Advantage plan dropped you, part of the letter they sent you was saying you were eligible for a Medigap. I'm going to clarify something, because I just had this happen yesterday. If you were started Medicare, look at your A and B dates, or your B date, and if that B date is prior to 1/1/2020, then your guaranteed issue is an F plan. If your B date is after 1/1/2020, your guaranteed issue will be a G plan, maybe an N plan. And so the point is, it's a guaranteed issue product. Getting off Advantage into a SUP will be based upon your B date. Okay? All right, next. California restriction or ability to change from high deductible plan G to plan G in the following year. Okay, well, the way that works is in order to move from a high G to a regular G, you're going to have to medically qualify in the state of California. And a lot of people like high Gs because they're cheaper premium, but they don't realize to get off of them, then you're going to have to medically qualify. So I wouldn't do that. If you're comfortable with that, go right ahead. But as long as your health is good, that's a fine position. But if your health changes, you will be on that high G then for the rest of your life. Okay? And so, those deductibles continue to go up. In California, it's not an open enrollment state. You have a birthday rule for sure, but the birthday rule in California would be high G to high G. It's not going to be high G to G. The birthday rule, it's like to like plan or like to less plan in the state of California. David, you have previously mentioned that someone could be stuck in a Medicare Advantage plan for life. Did you mean that Advantage plan might be the best option they have? Well, what I mean by that, that may be their only option. Because in the majority of states, once you have been on an Advantage plan for a year or longer, sometimes even less, depending upon your A and B dates, but if I'm on an Advantage plan and I want to return to traditional Medicare and get a supplemental plan, I have to medically qualify. And so if I can't medically qualify, that Medicare Advantage plan then will be my only option. And what's sad about, when I talk about medical qualifications, folks, I'm not talking about necessarily, life and death issues. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, there's no carrier that's going to take you. If you have osteoporosis and take a Prolia or even adrenalate, I think it's called. I'm not saying that med right, but adrenalate, I think. Point is, certain meds you're taking, you're not going to be able to switch. If you have AFib, one AFib in your incident, whether you're being treated for it or not, you're not going to get to switch. If you're an incident diabetic and have any complications, retinopathy, neuropathy, you'll never switch. And so the point is, a lot of people would like to be able to switch, and they can't. And so that's why I'm saying Medicare Advantage would then be their only option. The exception to that would be New York, Connecticut, Vermont, and in some situations, Maine and Massachusetts. Everywhere else, you're going to have to medically qualify to get that supplemental plan after you've been on that Advantage plan for a period of time. All right, next. Gary, Ace Insurance Company. I've had the lowest premium for Plan G. Is this insurance company accepted all providers that accept Medicare? I never heard of this company before. Okay, yeah, it's Ace Chubb is who you're talking about, and I'm not in any way afraid of Ace Chubb. Chubb has been in the business for. Let me back up. Chubb has been in the insurance business for lots of years, and one of the, I think, the largest insurance companies in the world. They started their MedSup division a couple years ago, called it Ace, but they own that book of business. So I think they're a good company and they're a great carrier. And so I'm not concerned at all about them. Now, when you ask about will the providers accept ACE, the answer is absolutely. In fact, every provider that takes original Medicare, every hospital, every doctor that takes original Medicare will take ACE, will take United Healthcare, will take Aetna, it's going to take Cigna. They have to take your supplemental plan of choice. If they take original Medicare, that supplemental plan is just the secondary payer, so they have to take that. So you don't even have to ask them, will you take ACE? Usually when you talk to people and you ask that question, will you take this, they think you're asking about an Advantage plan. That's why you don't have to ask. Just ask them, do you take original Medicare, traditional Medicare? If they do, give them your supplemental plan. It's the secondary payer. You'll never have an issue, okay? Unlike Advantage. Advantage, they don't have to take those plans, but they have to if you're on, if they take A and B. All right, Lois, I'm 65, still working for a large corp. Plan to work another year or two. Open enrollment begins next month. I'm thinking of switching. Can I keep my vision and dental through my employer if I switch to Medicare? And the answer is usually yes, and I recommend it. Most employer plans separate the medical from the dental vision benefit. And so ask your benefits people, can I still keep the dental vision? And almost always the answer is yes, and it's a better price than what you can get on the normal market. So I like that option. And so you can go to Medicare. Now, I do want to make something clear to those of you, not necessarily Lois, but those of you who may be beyond 65. Here's what happens. When you first turn 65 and you're working for a company at 20 or more, you don't have to go on Medicare. But if they have a lousy plan or mediocre plan and Medicare makes sense at 65, they have to let you go on that plan. But let's say you're 67 and now you want to go on that plan. The plans have the legal right to say you can do that, but you can only make that switch during the company's open enrollment season. All right? So some companies will let you go anytime, but other companies will say, no, you can go, but only during our season adjustments. They have to let you go at 65, but then after that, they can restrict it just to their open enrollment season for the company plan. I've seen that happen several times. All right. Okay, Chris, Indiana. My wife has had Medicare A and B for many years due to disability. Is she able to apply for a supplemental plan like a G, or is that only for non-disability Medicare? Well, all right, so first off, if your wife is turning 65, I know you said she has A and B because of disability, but if she's approaching 65, then she can get a supplemental plan G or N with no underwriting. She would have that guaranteed issue right. Now, if she is not yet 65 and she's been on A and B, and let's say B, for more than 6 months, then there is no way that any company would approve her for a supplemental plan. Now, I frankly do not know if the state of Indiana requires insurance companies to offer supplemental plans in Indiana. But if they do, the only time they have to do that would be 6 months of the B date. My point is, if she's beyond the 6 months of the B date, even if Indiana has supplemental plans, she is not going to qualify to do it. So hopefully you're still within that window. All right, so Hopefully, also, if it's not that, then she's approaching 65 and she will be able to get a supplemental plan of her choice, a G or an N plan. All right. Okay, how to decide which sub plan is better, G, high G, or an N plan? Hey, Ma, I am not a fan of high Gs. I know the premiums are lower for sure, but if you ever want to get off the high G, the only way you can do that after 6 months of your B date, you have to medically qualify. Now, if you've got money is not an issue and you're fine with having to meet that deductible, that's fine. Then you go ahead and do that. But I'm not a fan of them just because I know what happens. People oftentimes want to get off of them when they have health problems because they don't want to meet that deductible and they can't get on. They're high G for the rest of your life. So your question about better, G versus N, I think G and N are both equally great, okay? I like both of them. And it varies. Some states, there's only $30 a month difference between G and N. Some states, there's $100 difference between G and N. And so I think there's times when I would lean towards the N. New York, Florida, it's certainly about that $100 range. But in our area here in Kansas, Missouri, sometimes there's only $30 a month difference. And so that's $360 a year I saved between G and N. And so what did I take on responsibility on my N? I've got to pay excess if and when that occurs. Doesn't happen often, for sure, but it can happen. And then I have to pay some copays. So you have to decide, is that premium difference savings, that $360 or $400 a year, is that worth it to you? And some people, it will be. Others say, no, I'll just get the most comprehensive plan I can get. Well, what's the most comprehensive coverage today? It's the G plan. Why? It covers excess. There's no out-of-pocket but the B deductible. But I like them both. And just depends on your comfort level, your risk level, where you live, the difference in premium, all those kind of things matter in that decision. Beverly, do you have to continue ARP membership after the first year of ARP? No, you don't. United Healthcare and ARP are kind of hand in glove in the senior market. And so when it comes to supplemental plans, you do have to enroll into AARP for 1 year. You do not have to keep it after that. The first year it's $16. If you do an auto enrollment, it's $12. But again, you can cancel the membership after that first year. And by the way, those of you that want Advantage plans and you find that United Healthcare AARP Advantage plan is in your best interest, you do not have to be a member of ARP to have a United Healthcare Advantage plan. Not required, but it is required on supplemental plans. All right, next. Ergoman, there's a plan that says $1,500 out of pocket. Does that mean that this is the max I will spend on medicines? No, it doesn't. The most you spend on medicines this year on medications that are in formulary would be $2,000. So this $1,500, I'm pretty sure, would be, this is some type of an HMO plan. A PPO plan is not going to have that low deductible usually. So I mean deductible, I mean max out of pocket. So this is probably a supplemental, this is an Advantage plan that is an HMO, and they have established a max out of pocket for the year $1,500, which is very, very low, by the way. So we don't see it very often, but maybe so. You may live in Texas, Arizona, or Florida or something, because I know some of those are very competitive, but that would be an HMO plan, Medicare Advantage. All right? Here we go, David. If a person cannot qualify or afford a Med Sup plan, would you suggest they are better off with an Advantage versus? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you why. Because at least with my Advantage, and by the way, Advantage isn't bad insurance. It just comes with some things you've got to deal with. Networks, pre-authorizations, the plans change, all that. But that's a whole lot better, in my opinion, than original Medicare A and B, because at least I've got a max out of pocket. If you have A and B, there's no max out of pocket at all. That 20% co-insurance, that deductible you're responsible for, you just keep going and going. There's no limit to that. That's why I'm saying the second largest holder of medical debt in the country today are people that are on Medicare, and that's either Advantage or original A and B. And we tell people that have to get an Advantage plan. What's very nice is there's plans out there today. They're called various things. They're critical illness plans. They're called indemnity plans. They're called copay protection plans. But it's basically a plan that comes alongside your Advantage plan and covers your copays if you're hospitalized, and a lump sum benefit for cancer if you got diagnosed with cancer. Because a lot of people, that's where they max out on their advantage. Because they get cancer, it's very expensive for radiation and surgery and chemotherapy. And so if people don't have that $5,000 or $7,000 out of pocket, they can get insurance and pay $30 a month and get those items covered that could bring some financial hardship to them. And we write those plans. Be happy to talk to you about that, David. So definitely advantage. So in my opinion, worst coverage is A and B only. Next would be advantage. The next would be supplemental. Okay. All right, question. Just started getting Medicare in August. I got a supplemental plan, high deductible G. I was told I can change the regular G January 1st. Is that correct? Well, let's go. You got it when? In August. Okay, so your open enrollment period is August, September, October, November, December, January. And that's true because the reason, look at your B date on your card. So if your B date says August 1, you have August, September, October, November, December, January. So you all the way up to January 31 to apply for a regular G plan because you're still in that open enrollment period. You could also get an N plan if you wanted. Either way, that's true. But after January 31st, if you haven't submitted that by then, February on, then you'd have to medically qualify to pick anything else up beyond the high G. All right. Anybody else? All right. Hi, Gil from Manchester, New Hampshire. My wife recently approved for SSDI, turned 65 next year. I have group coverage 20 plus with HSA. Can she decline both A and B when she's automatically enrolled? Okay, no. All right, so Gilbert, you're kind of in a unique situation. So let me look at this real quick. So she turned 65. Because she's on Social Security disability, she has to have at least A. She doesn't have to keep the B. So what I would do if she has a good group plan at work, then what I would do, let me say it this way. Before she's 65, your group has to be 100 or more for her to drop B. If there's less than 100 employees, she has to have A and B up until the time she hits 65. And then the rules would change. Then she would be able to drop the B and be covered by your plan because now she would have just regular Medicare. So it's a little tricky. And in fact, I don't see this happen a lot. So let me say it again. So the way it works is this. If someone is still working and there's 20 employees or more on the payroll, that's considered a large group. We don't have to do anything with Medicare. Now, if you're on Social Security, you got to have A. But when we have Social Security disability, which she has, that group moves to 100. So again, I don't know how large your employer is. If it's above 100, then it is fine for her to drop her B. But if it's less than 100, she has to have A and B. And then when she hits 65, then that 100 rule doesn't matter because now she's just on regular Medicare. And then you could drop the B. So the timing's got to be right. Now listen, and our agents would know this. You just call in and talk with us and we can give you some more information. But what I shared with you is accurate, but it still could be confusing. Let's keep going. All right, Patty, I started Medigap in Part B in September due to special enrollment and with your company. Do I have time to change Medigap to another G plan without medical questions? I'm 68, okay, and live in Texas. Okay, well, if your B date is September, Patty, you're fine. There's no reason, so let's go through it. You're September, so we count September, October, November, December, January, February. So you're fine to apply for any policy. Well, not F or C, of course, but G or N or whatever. September, October, November, December, January, February, all the way to the end of February for a new plan that will go into effect up to March 1. So you got to do it before the end of February. So you're still in that window where you can switch with no medical questions. You're still, we call that the Medigap OEP. All right, what about A and B with TRICARE for Life? Okay, Michael, number one, thanks for serving our country. I have a daughter that's in the National Guard and just proud of her for serving. And obviously you served a long time because you have TRICARE. So you've retired from the military. So you do have to be enrolled in A and B once you turn 65 because TRICARE moves to the second payer position. Right now, they're the first payer. But once you're 65, you got to take A and B, and then TRICARE will pay second. So that's number one. And by the way, that is fine insurance. TRICARE will also include a drug plan. Now, what some veterans are doing, again, just an option. You can call in. We can talk to you more about this. But some people with TRICARE, what they will do is they will enroll in what we refer to as a Medicare Advantage only plan, MA only plan. They still get their meds through TRICARE. And then on the MA only side, what happens is TRICARE has agreed to coordinate benefits with the Advantage plan, just like they coordinate benefits with A and B. And then so why would veterans do that? Because that A and B could come with hearing aids that TRICARE doesn't offer, or a dental benefit, or a vision benefit, and also a reduction in your Social Security check. We call those honor plans or patriot plans. So you may want to look at that as an option. Not saying that's what you must do, but it's something I certainly will look at. Then you can have A and B, a TRICARE, or you could have your Medicare Advantage only plan with TRICARE. Both of those would work and would be great. And the good news is, if you don't like that, you can always go back and just have A and B with TRICARE anytime during Medicare's open enrollment season. So it's not like a lifelong decision at all. You can try it for a year, see if you like it. All right, let's keep going. My husband has Humana for his Part D. His premium is increasing $15. Should he seek another plan, or is the premium increase standard for all companies? Well, I will tell you, Karen, that's not bad. Because of all the changes to the Part D plans this year, the maximum price that any plan could go up was $35. So 15 is not bad. I think Humana does have some good drug plans. In most markets, they have 3 for 2025. What I would do, Karen, if you're one of our customers, and you're probably not, we have our own system that we use to compare drug plans. So if you're not our client, then what I would do, I would go to Medicare.gov and put your husband's medications in there, and then let that system shop for plans in your area. And there could be anywhere from 15 plans. That's about the norm. And they'll take those plans and they'll put those in order of cost and coverage. So that Humana plan still may be wonderful. So my point is, let that software tool look at all the plans, and that's how you decide, not just because it went up $15 and that's a low increase, but is it still the best plan to cover his medications? And that's what I would do. So I would check the plan. You have all the way up to December 7th to do that. So again, our site's MedicareSchoolEnroll.com. You can go there, or just go to Medicare.gov and look at those plans. So take the time to do it. It's not hard. Okay. Here we go. G plans versus N. In Missouri, why should you pay more for G? Aren't there only a very small number of doctors that charge excess now? And you're exactly right. There are very few doctors that charge excess. And so if I don't know if you heard me earlier, but I like both plans. I like G and I like N for sure. I think both are great decisions. And the only reason that some people are going with the G today is just because they're looking for the most comprehensive coverage. That savings of maybe $40 a month versus the N is not worth it to them. They don't want the hassle of even thinking I'm going to pay copays or excess if it did ever happen, even though it doesn't happen often. So it's fine. You may be wired to say, hey, I'm going to take N, and I think that's a great decision. Both are fine, folks. They really are. Okay? And it doesn't matter if it's Missouri or wherever. Ns are fine plans. Okay, I was on Medicare with Supplement. Premiums grew each year considerably, and I didn't have dental optical, so more premiums. Switched to Advantage 2 years ago. Afraid I can't afford to go back. And Michael, then just stay on the very best Advantage plan that you can get. And if you haven't shopped those yet, call in and we'll take the time. And sometimes, and we've had this happen many times, the agents of people call in, talk to our agents, and we find out, hey, you're on the best plan in your market for your doctors, for your meds, and your situation. And we'll say, hey, stay right where you are. But if there's something that may be better, we'll tell you why, share those options with you. So give us a call. Let us do that for you. All right, when I call you, what is the charge for your assistance? Dale, there's no cost for our services or any agent services, okay? It's actually illegal. So we are actually paid commissions by the insurance company, and you don't have to pay us a penny. And whether you use a broker or you went direct to an insurance company or anything, the price premiums are all the same to you. There's no difference no matter who you use to help you. And there's no cost either because we can't charge you for that. Insurance companies must pay the agent. So we're totally free to you. I've never sent a bill to a client ever, and never will. All right, Bob, can you have an Advantage plan and a supplement? No, it's actually illegal. And it wouldn't work anyways, because what happens, let's say someone's on an Advantage plan, they're on Advantage, and let's say the doctor mistakenly billed original Medicare. Original Medicare is not going to pay that. They don't pay any bills for you at all. They give a flat fee, about $1,200 a month, to the Advantage company. So they would revert that back right back to the Advantage company because they're now responsible for you. That's why we call those replacement plans. When someone's on a supplemental plan, what happens is the doctor or hospital bills Original Medicare. Medicare already knows about your supplemental plan, so they pay their part, and then they automatically send the remaining balance over to your supplemental company. So that's why you can't have both at the same time. It has to be one or the other. That's it. It's illegal, actually. If I have an agent that would write both, they'd be fired, okay? Because it is totally illegal to do that. Okay, if I have an IRMA charge, is it locked in forever? No. IRMAs are annual. And those of you that aren't familiar with the acronym, it stands for Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. And what this means is if I'm on Medicare in 2024, they're looking back at my modified adjusted gross income in 2022. So it's my income from 2 years prior that determine this year's premiums for Part B. And so in 2025, they're going to look back at our modified adjusted gross income for 2023. And so the numbers this year, if someone is single and below $103,000 a year income, no IRMA. If they're married and have filed a joint return, if they're below $206,000 a year, no IRMAs. But if I'm above 103 or above 206, then I have an additional charge. That's called the IRMA. And they recalculate those IRMAs every year. We don't have the new IRMA rates yet for 2025. We're expecting those really any day now. Yeah, they recalculate it, so they're going to look at 23 for 2025. And remember, you can also appeal those if you have a life-changing event. I don't have time to go into all that, but there's 8 possible life-changing events that if they occur in a 2-year period, then you can appeal or ask for a reconsideration of the IRMA. And we help our clients do that all the time. All right. Here we go. Hello, I've been on Advantage plan, want to change to SUP. Don't qualify due to asthma, but I'm moving next year to a new state. Could I get a supplemental plan? Yes, you can. Because you will have a guaranteed issue right when you move and lose your Advantage plan because of a move. So you can do that. Now, just so you know, I'm going to talk to you about this, Sassy, when it comes to asthma. Asthma is not a declinable health health issue. Now, COPD, emphysema, absolutely. But asthma by itself is not. And so they don't decline because of asthma. Now, you may have been declined because you took some type of a COPD medication to treat your asthma. And in that case, what we would do is we would get a statement from your doctor saying you don't have COPD or don't have asthma, even though you're taking certain medication that could be considered to be treated for that. But the other option is once you move, you'll have a guaranteed issue right. And if you start a Medicare before 1/1/2020, that guaranteed issue product will be an F plan. If it's after 1/1/2020, it'll be a G plan. All right, is there a limit on lookbacks? By that, if you've been clear of an issue after 2 or 3 or 5 years, can you switch from maybe to supplemental plan without revealing the prior? Okay, Mike, yes, there definitely is a limit to lookbacks. Now, if it's, let's say it's, there's certain conditions where they'll say, have you ever been diagnosed with? And so that's a permanent look back. There's not very many of those, but certainly, serious things like Parkinson's or muscular dystrophy or, certain issues that are forever. But most things, their look back is going to be either 24 months or 36 months. So they may say you've been diagnosed with, treated for, taken medication for any form of internal cancer in the last 36 months. And so if you say no to that because you had cancer 4 years ago or 6 years ago, it's a non-issue. So that's what you're talking about. So there definitely are certain conditions. Some conditions, they only look back 12 months, and that's it. So if you had it 2 years ago, no big deal. I never see any more than 36-month look back unless it's some of these major neurological type problems. All right. Call us, by the way, Mike. Hey, we'll find a carrier. We have some carriers are a little bit more lenient than others. We have one carrier that won't take you if you've been taking depression medications for 2 years or more. That's the one carrier does that. Other carriers don't. We have one carrier that they'll take osteoporosis as long as you're not taking medication for it, which is rare. But the point is, every carrier is a little bit different. The things they're looking for and what they'll approve or decline, and we're familiar with those. All right, here we go. Kathy, more Social Security question. I'm at full retirement age. Recently signed up for Social Security. Specified that I was not wanting to start Medicare. I was automatically given Medicare Part A. True. Trouble is that I have an HSA through my employer. Now think I can't continue to my HSA anymore. Is that true, or can I? Okay. No. Once you've taken Social Security, Kathy, you have to be enrolled in Medicare A. You don't have to have B. if you're still working, but you have to have A only. So you have to stop those contributions to your HSA. You just have to. Once the A has started, that A date has started, you have to stop. All right, I've been approved for ARP-G 2025, moving from Advantage with them prior to finding you. Have learned so much and would rather use you instead of ARP possible. It is, sir, and we'd be delighted to do that. Now, if your plan has already gone into effect, ARP will not do it. United Healthcare will not do a change of record. Agent record. It's called agent record change. They will not do that. But if it hasn't gone into effect, then we can show you how to disenroll from the plan. We can become your broker actually on the same plan. But it went into effect. United Healthcare is going to protect agent of record, so we wouldn't be able to assist there. So depending upon the effective date, we'll determine whether we can help you or not. Sorry about that. Wish we would have met you earlier. All right, let's keep going. All right, I enroll in Medicaid G in Florida at 65. What happens if I move to a different state in a few years? Do I need to change to a local care in the state I moved? Okay, very interesting. Florida and New York are the only two states that do this. And this could vary carrier to carrier, just so you know. All right, so let me tell you a couple rules. So if you're in Florida and you move to another state, I know for sure that United Healthcare, and maybe some of the carriers, say that when you move, you have the choice to stay in your Florida group, or if the premiums are lower in the state you're moving to, then you can re-enroll in the same plan in that new state, no health questions asked. Okay, so I know United Healthcare does that. Maybe some of the other carriers do. Now, I don't know where you live. I mean, I know where you're going to move to, but as a general rule, here's the way moves work. You have a lifetime policy with your G plan or N plan, F plan, and it's totally portable. So when you move to another state, the insurance carrier has the right to adjust the rate up or down depending on what the market is where you're moving to. So again, you're not sure where you're going to move to. So if you're with United Healthcare, you have some flexibility. You may be able to stay with the Florida group or the new state, or if you're with another carrier, then when you move, you're probably going to then just be re-rated. Again, that could be up or down. Listen, I've had people move all over the country, and usually it is very insignificant, usually. Okay? Hope that helps, Jennifer. All right, if we are in the middle of the year with a prescription drug plan of medicine is added to us that isn't on the plan we are on, will the new medicine be covered? Maybe, Larry. And what you're talking about, it's not in formulary. What you have to do, you or your doctor, you need to ask for a formulary exception. And it's a form that has to be filled out. It's very simple to do. Again, you can do it or doc can. And then the plan will consider that formulary exception. And if they approve it, then they will add that particular medication to your formulary for the year. They're not adding it to everyone's formulary, but for yours. Now, sometimes I have seen them add it to your formulary, but then they'll say, but before we fill this medication, it's also a step therapy medication, which means there's generic equivalent or alternatives that if you haven't tried, you may have to try those first. All right? So just reach out to the drug plan when that happens, and they'll walk you through that process. All right. Hi. Are the employer-sponsored group Medicare Advantage plans from large corporations like IBM or AT&T for their retirees significantly better than regular? Significantly, sometimes. Sometimes they're worse. But when I see IBM, AT&T, I would say that more than likely, and by the way, these plans are called waiver plans. And this insurance company negotiates something directly with that employer. And so the answer to your question is yes. They are. They normally have lower max out-of-pockets. They still have networks, still have pre-authorizations, but some of the financial terms on those plans can be more favorable than the plans that we would write. Still stuck with networks and pre-authorizations, but financially could be a little bit better. And I've seen some worse, but with those employers you mentioned, probably pretty good. All right, Ron, Denise, Indiana, just turned 65 October, husband still working, turned 66 in November. Working for a large company, hope to retire around March of 2025. How do I know what we need, cost, and applied date? Okay, well, I'm assuming, is that Dennis or Denise? Okay, Denise, sorry about that. Okay, Denise, you turn 65 this month, and so if you're not on Social Security, of course, I don't know if you enrolled into Medicare A and B. I'm assuming you didn't. So as long as your husband is working for an employer that has 20 or more people on the payroll. Oh, large, I see that now, large. Okay, so you're fine. If you didn't do anything, you're fine. at all, because you're covered by the group plan. And frankly, Medicare's glad that you continue to be covered by that plan. That's why they make it so easy. But if when he gets ready to retire, then in March, then it will be time for you to get busy. So let me back up the clock for you. So your birthday's in October. So we have November, December, January. So you're going to be in an SEP after February 1 of 2025. Okay, so what's going to happen, the two of you are going to come into Medicare using what we call an SEP, Special Enrollment Period. And honestly, Ron, best thing for you all to do is reach out to us, and we'll walk you through this whole process. Okay, there's some documentation that your employer is going to have to fill out. That's called an L564. We're going to need one on both of you. And then another form called the CMS 40B. And that form just will simply say to Medicare, we want to start our Medicare. You know, if you retire in March, I'm assuming your employer plan is going to go through the end of March. You're probably going to start your Medicare April 1. So on the 40B, we would tell them when we want to start. And the L564 allows us to bring you into Medicare with no penalties and no problems. So both of you are eligible to do that. Now, what I would do if I were you all is this. If you do not have an HSA, I would go ahead right now, both of you, and enroll into A only. It'll make it a lot easier coming into B. So do it. Now, if you have an HSA, don't do that. Of course, you need to stop contributing anyway pretty soon because you're going to retire in March. But if you don't have an HSA, definitely take the time to go ahead and enroll in A only, but decline B. Now, when you go through the application, what's going to happen, there's going to be a warning sign that comes up online and says, are you sure you don't want to take Part B? You may be penalized if you don't. Don't worry about the warning. You have a group plan that's large. You will not be penalized. Okay, so take A only. That's the easiest thing to do, and we'll bring you into B with the L564 forms. And we'd be delighted to help you. Just set an appointment up, and our agents know how to do that, and we do it well. All right, any more questions? Okay, Roy, does Medicare cover ambulances? And the answer is yes, they do. I think the only requirement is that it would have to be proved to be medically necessary, okay? So it can't just be for transportation, which we probably wouldn't do anyways, but it is the Medicare B that's going to cover ambulance services. And if you just had A and B only, it would be 80-20. Medicare would pay 80, you'd be responsible for 20%. If you had the G plan or N plan, it would cover that full 20% after you've met your deductible. So yes, they do. And they also cover air ambulance as well. When that was necessary, they'll cover it. All right, what do you think about Allstate Health Solutions, medical supplement plan? Are they good to go with? Never heard of them before. But was suggested by Medicare School. Listen, in some areas, if they're competitive, I think they'll be fine. I really do. We would not write a carrier that we were not comfortable with. And so we all know the Allstate name. That means that we have good name recognition. People that are buying that plan are, like it. So we should have a good, stable pool. So I would not be afraid of Allstate at all. I mean, that's a good company. I know they're fairly new to the MedSup side of business, but they're competitive right now, well known. So I think they'll have large groups for sure. So I'd be fine with it. Greg, planning to retire in August. I work for UPS in Texas. If we get quotes now, will they still be at least similar by the time? Yeah, they will be. It's all right to do that. I would say they're not going to be identical. They'll be off a little bit, but at least for budgeting purposes, Greg, it's all right to get that information. It is for sure. Now, what's interesting, I've worked with a lot of people with UPS, and if I'm not mistaken, with UPS, the day that you are done working, I think your insurance ends. Most employers, let's say if I quit today, what is the 30th? Well, that's a bad illustration. Let's say it's 15th a month. They cover you to the end of the month. But I think UPS, the day you quit, it's over. I could be wrong on that, but you need to find that out for sure to make sure you time that properly. But get quotes, it's fine. Won't be precise, but it'll be close enough. All right, any more questions? Okay, Big Dave, what kind of insurance were you talking about pairing with Advantage plans? Okay, called a couple things. We call them copay protection plans. They are similar to indemnity plans or what could be called critical illness plans. So we bring those alongside of Advantage plan to cover hospital copays and serious issues such as cancer and different things, so you get a lump sum payment. When we mean indemnity, see, most insurance, the provider is paid directly by the insurance company. Indemnity plan means that the insurance company actually pays you that money. That's the difference. All right. Anybody else, Daniel? Okay, here we go. I'm turning 65 in March. I'm currently on my wife's work insurance. Can I voluntarily leave her plan 6 months later and enroll in a Medicare Advantage or Medigap plan? All right. So the answer to your question is no, not necessarily. Now, many employers will let you go on to Medicare anytime you want, but they don't have to. So you're turning in March. So what I know for sure, let me write this out here just real quickly. So we got March, 2, 1, 12, we got 4, 5, 6. Okay, what I know for sure is starting in December, you can enroll with your birthday in March, and they have to let you go all the way up until the end of June. That's your 7th month of your initial enrollment period. So you can enroll as late as June for a 7/1 effective start date. That'd be 7/1/2025. They have to let you do that. But after 7/1/2025, the company could say no, you can go, but it has to be during the company's open enrollment season. So that's what you're going to have to clarify, because sometimes these group plans will not drop you other than at 65 or during the open enrollment season. So check with them, please. All right, can you please do a show dedicated to strategy to reduce the impact of IRMA going into retirement off of a high income? Okay, yes, we could do that, I guess, Daniel.
Probably have covered it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. One of the best thing is, of course, if your income is going to stay high because of investments and other things, and that's, you're just going to have to keep paying IRMAs. But as far as strategizing, what hurts a lot of people is it's when they start doing Roth conversions. And so if we time the Roth conversions well, then you can, there's a way to do that. Okay, and I could definitely teach on that. But remember, Ray, they're always looking back 2 years. And so if they look back 2 years, let's say it this way. Let's say I'm on Medicare 2025, and I know they're looking back at 2023. And my income was high in 2023, but I'm retiring in 2025. I can appeal the IRMA, and by filling out the SS 44 form, I can tell them, don't look at 2023, because I've retired or semi-retired, and you can give them new numbers for 2025. So you can kind of control, if you have the ability, control what your income is going to be in 2025. They won't hold the 2023 high income against you. But if it's still going to be high, that's a great problem to have. It really is. I know it's disappointing. So again, the Roth conversion can be timed well, and then remember, you can appeal if you have a life-changing event. And also, you can do a reduction of work or stoppage of work. I have people that'll appeal an IRMA just with reduction of work, and then they quit working fully, and they do another IRMA appeal with termination of work totally. I've seen that happen. So you actually can appeal the IRMA 4 years in that way. All right, if it's true. Okay, how much physical therapy will Medicare cover? Well, whatever is medically necessary, Medicare will cover physical therapy. So as long as it is medically necessary, ordered by the proper doctors and all that, I don't think there's any kind of limit. If so, I've never seen that before at all. Now again, if it's not medically necessary and doctor's not writing a prescription for the physical therapy, then it's not going to be covered at all. But I've never read about a limit before. All right, does Plan D have a deductible? What happens if the drug is not in formulary? Does it count towards the $2,000? Okay, number one, Medicare sets a D deductible. Next year, 2025, it's $590, $590. This year, it's $545. And so we have a drug deductible. So if a plan has a deductible, many of them do, then you have to pay that deductible. Some plans will lower the deductible. Sometimes they bring it all the way to zero. All right, so Medicare D plans do have a deductible sometimes, but other times reduced or zero. Now, as far as the $2,000, what counts towards the $2,000 is any medication that's in formulary. In formulary. If it's not in formulary, you're getting the meds from Canada, or you're getting help from a state assistance program, it's not going to count towards the $2,000. Okay. Okay, when should I notify my pharmacy, and specifically pharmacy, about me going on Medicare? Also, a drug manufacturer paying for most of my meds. Do I need to tell them, and when? Okay, well, here's what happens. If you have manufacturers paying for those drugs, what you have to look at is that some kind of a coupon plan? And if so, you got to find out, will those coupon plans be void once you're on Medicare? Most of them do go void. Now, if it's the manufacturer assistance because of other financial information, you still may be able to get assistance from them. But the coupons normally go away once you're on Medicare. And you don't have to really notify the pharmacy in advance. What I would do, once you have selected your drug plan, then you give the pharmacy that drug plan information. But again, usually 30 days prior to your effective date ought to be plenty to do that. So if my plan is going to go into effect November 1, I'd be given that information this month. But way in advance is not going to matter. 30 days is plenty. All right, I used a broker for my medical insurance prior to 65. Can I use you when I do? Yeah, absolutely, Karen. No problem whatsoever. You're going into what we call your initial enrollment period 2, and so you get to reset the clock. You can change agents, get new plans, drug plans, subs, advantage, whatever you want to do. It's a great, great opportunity to start all over. Yep. Okay, Regina, I don't have 20 credits. Can I take them from my husband? He's still working. His age is 67, and I am going to be 64 in January 10th. Okay, well, yeah, you can definitely get them from your husband. You have to be married for at least 1 year, and you have to prove that with marriage license is all. And so no problem. That's the only requirement. He doesn't, he just has to be at least 62. He's 67, so we're good to go on that. So you're fine, Regina. No problem at all. Now, you can't do that online. What you'll need to do is make an appointment with your local Social Security office. And if you don't have a local office, convenient, then just call the main number and they'll tell you where to apply. Yeah, you have to apply with them to be able to do that. And it's really simple to do. It is. Okay, I've been on Medicare for a number of years, but now turning 65 using the Humana PPO Advantage, which they've canceled my particular plan. Do I have to get another Advantage plan? No, not at all. If you can get another Advantage if you want, but you're also going to be eligible for a supplemental plan. You're actually eligible for 2 reasons. Number one, you're in your turning 65, so that makes you eligible for no underwriting. And then also because that Humana plan was dropped, you have an eligibility that way. The easiest way is the just turning 65. That's the one I would use. But you have both. You have the other one in your back pocket if you need it. No problem at all. Call us, Deborah. We can help you with that. All right, Plan F. What's the advantage of having these plans compared to my existing Plan F? You've helped me over a year ago, and I've been very pleased. Just wondering, I live in Tennessee. Well, Mitzi, what you can do is just call into our customer service team, and then you may want to ask them what the current rates are for an F plan in Tennessee to see if there may be something that's more favorable. Or if you can medically qualify, you can always move to a G plan. And the difference would be just premium. And again, I'm not sure off the top of my head that there would be any reason to do that, but it's never a bad idea to call in. That's what our customer support team is here to do, to make sure you are on the very best plan at the very best price. And so happy to help in that regard. Didn't take long, probably be a 5 or 10 minute phone call. All right. All right, 65th birthday was July 1st. I signed up with you guys this year. Am I too late to make any changes as far as supplemental plan? No, not at all. So July 1, so that means you started Medicare June because it's always the first month. So you got June. We got June, July, August, September, October, November. So you're fine. You can still make a supplemental plan change up till next month. But I would do it, ASAP. Get that going. But you're fine as long as we submitted the application by November 30th. Then it would start December 1. That your 6 months would be over, and that's because your birthday was July 1. We had to go back to June to start counting our 6 month. So you're fine to do that if you want to. Just give us a call. We'll help you with it. All right. Anybody else?
That's a new one there.
Oh, this one. Okay. Want to change from Advantage to regular Medicare? Not sure if plans you're in. These plans automatically include a drug plan or dental or vision. No, not at all. No, you'll have to get a separate drug plan if you have a supplemental plan. Yeah, it's different. The Advantage includes one. When you have a supplemental plan, you have to get a separate one. So that could be a premium for that. And then if you want dental or vision, then again, that's going to be an additional premium as well. Right now, dental plans, a good dental plan. And by the way, I've seen a lot of these new Advantage plans for 2025. Many of them are only covering preventive. They've dropped that. Not all, but many of them. I wrote a plan yesterday. It was Advantage, and it only had preventive dental. That was it. It was an HMO POS plan, and then but the guy wanted more dental, so there was a dental add-on, $1,500 plan for $54 a month, and he went with that. If you had a standalone dental plan, if you paid $54 a month, you're probably going to get $2,000 or $3,000 a year coverage on that. So, but it would be a separate premium. And then vision. Keep in mind, Medicare covers vision very well, except for eyewear and exams for eyewear, and that's it. Otherwise, Medicare covers everything, and your supplemental plan will also. So the only reason I know to get a vision plan would be if you get glasses on a regular basis. You can get an iMed plan for about $11 a month. You can get a VSP plan for about $16 a month. And those are add-ons. We do those all the time. Be happy to help. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for answering my questions. Okay. Looking forward to working with you next year. Yes, Karen, we look forward to working with you as well. We'll help you. So let us know when it's time. Like I always tell people, give us a call 3 months prior to losing your group plan or 3 months before turning 65, and we'll do everything for you and with you. And we love doing it, and we'll do it right. Thank you, Karen. Okay, Marvin, do you know what a UHI? Yeah, I do. I do. Patriot Plan UHI this is a plan written by United Healthcare, and this is a plan that you would only want to get if you're getting your medications either through the VA or for TRICARE for Life. That's a Patriot plan. It's an MA-only plan. So what's going to happen is that Medicare Advantage is going to cover you for inpatient and outpatient, but you're going to get your meds through some other source, again, VA or TRICARE. And so those are good plans. You're probably getting some type of a Part B reduction as well with that plan. These insurance companies take some of the money they get, since they don't have to cover your meds, and they credit that back towards your Social Security check. So that's what it is, and United Healthcare is a great company. And I like Patriot plans. Some call it honor plans. USAA has some plans, different things out there. But we write all those, so we can help you if you'd like. All right, I have Plan F. Can I switch to G and return to F next year? Okay. Well, honestly, Gary, I don't know why you'd want to do that. If you like the F plan, stay on it. If you can qualify to move to G, you're going to, of course, save maybe substantial money. And by the way, I think F plans are fine. But if I can qualify for a G, and let's say I can save $50 a month, so you save $600 in the year, what'd you give up? Well, you gave a coverage on the B deductible, so that's $240. You save $600, that was plenty enough money to cover the B deductible. So I would stay on the G plan. But again, you can go back to F, you just may have to medically qualify to do that. Is that it? All right. Well, folks, thanks so much. We'll be doing this next Thursday. We had to change this because of Halloween. Want to make sure grandparents, and I am one, by the way, but we'll be here next Thursday doing the very same thing, and then Medicare Monday on Monday night. Thanks a lot for being a part. Let us know if we can help you. Have a good evening.